Hello, welcome to episode 234 in the Datapack tutorial series, version 1.2 1.8. We're going to be doing flickering candles. We did something similar with flickering lights in episode 25, I think it was. This was a request from Mand. How can we do it for candles instead? Because you need to change the lit status and remember the count and remember the colour. Sorry it took so long to make. Still getting over my bad back, but let's have a look. Here we go. Bit hard to see. Oh, we can see that one went off. Bit hard to see it. Daytime. Let's do a time set midnight. Okay, so you can see they are all flickering, and we can change the default times. We have a default off time and a default on time, and it's the same for all candles, but they're all running their own timers. One of the main problems with these is they're not off for long enough. The flames don't have time to disappear and come back, but I don't know if that's all that one did then. There we go. But you can play with the times and adjust them to what you like. So I think what we're going to do is, there's a marker at each one. If I turn this little marker, we're just executing at markers, and we're doing flames. And you can see my little marker. There's one in the middle there. Probably one buried in there. There we go. So that's what's controlling, or that's how it knows where each one is. And those markers are also storing the data. So this one, for instance, will be storing color blue, and will be storing count 2. So I think probably easiest if we just start from the beginning. We might as well leave it nighttime as well. So let's just, I'll reload the data pack because I've emptied that out. So let's do a reload and that'll stop everything from working. Then we will get rid of all these candles. We should see the markers are still there though. Yeah. Now I have made a function to destroy the nearest one, but just to save time, let's kill any entity that type is not a player. That's okay on my world because I've got nothing else to destroy. Don't do it on your map. Okay, so just killed those 4 markers. Right, so I think what we want to do first is we want to be able to put down a marker. So let's pop over to the data pack. All right, let's go ahead and build it now. Okay, so we can see we've got quite a few functions. I've got some in admin, that's for when we're setting it up. And we've got some in candle here. That's what will be running when the map's on. And we're going to use the load and the tick as well. There's not much in each function though. So they're all quite small. But let's start with placing a candle. So what we want to do is we're going to execute a line on the X and Z because I want it to be in the center of the square just to keep it looking a bit nicer. And I'm going to run summon. And I'm going to summon a marker, Minecraft marker, and we'll move it. So we're currently in the corner because we're aligned to the XZ. So if I move it plus 0.5, plus 0.5, that will now center it on the block, on the X and the Z, not the Y. So we would now be, so let's face positive Z and positive X. So we'd be aligning it here into that corner, and then we've moved it 0.5 and 0.5, so we'll be right down here. Okay, let's go back. And what we want to do is we want to, first of all, we'll give it a tag so we can target it. So let's give it a tag, something that makes sense. Let's say it is a marker, and it's a marker for the candle. So we'll call it marker candle. And I want to give it some data as well. Data, open up the data. And I'm going to give it a colour. I usually use the American spellings when doing the commands. So this is going to be what colour? Because if we look at the candles, they've all got different colour. So let's get a candle. Candle. So we can see this one is this one. Oh, this one's just candle. So I don't know if we'll be able to do that one. We can only do coloured. I'm just going to do the coloured ones. We'll ignore that one for now. So we got white. Underline candle, light, underline grey, underline candle, grey, underline candle. So they all end in underline candle. In fact, we could do that one. Let's do that one as well. So they all end in candle. And we just want the colour that's in front. So for instance, if we wanted purple, we would put purple underline. If we want magenta, we'd put magenta underline. We might get a problem with just candle. So that's what's going to go first. So, colour. Let's say we'll do the purple one. Purple And we'll ignore that underline for now. We can always come back and fiddle later. And we want to count. So you can have 1, 2, 3 or 4. So let's say 2. Let's save that. Okay, so now if I stand somewhere and run this command, I am going to put a marker down, and it's going to be colour purple, count 2. Well, that's going to be a bit tedious. What if I wanted purple, count 3? Or what if I wanted grey, count 1? We don't want to run a command for each one, so we'll turn this into a macro. So for colour, we will say $, open and close normal brackets. We'll put colour in there. And for count, we will do the same, but we'll put count in there. Now this is using macro, so the first character will need to be the $sign. Okay, let's save that. And we'll go and test that. We'll do a reload. So let's stand somewhere. We'll stand on this square here. If we try and run that function, candle place, we will get the missing arguments. Now the missing arguments are the ones we just defined. It needs colour and it needs count. And we can see here's the example of how to run it. So we need to send the arguments colour and count. So let's do that. So let's do the same function again, but this time at the end, we will send a colour and we'll say purple. And we'll send a count and we'll say 2. And we'll run that. So there is our aligned marker. We can data get it. Data get entity nearest type equals marker. And if we look at that, we can see in its data, it's got colour purple, count 2. Colour purple, count 2. Wonderful. So we can use that. We can extract that later because we're going to need to know what to place. And now we know we're going to place a purple candle with a count of 2. Nice. In fact, actually, let's use the whole name. So let's change this example here just to purple candle. Let's change the whole name because then if we wanted to, we could just put candle. Yeah. Okay, we'll do that. We don't need to change anything here, but we will need to change the data on this because it still says purple and we want it to say purple candle. Okay. So let's make a remove function and we will just kill the nearest type equals Minecraft marker tag equals marker candle. Save. Have we got the marker candle? Yeah. Ah, I see. Normally it would autofill. I don't think it can find that as a valid tag because it's put inside a macro command, so it's not recognizing it here. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So let's go and test this. Do a reload. Function candle remove. Should get rid of that one. Yeah. Let's put a new one back. So let's just run this command again. But this time, not purple. We'll put the whole name. We'll put purple candle. Okay. Right. We want to be able to do some things to it. And we want some times. So let's go and let's set up the times. Because this is going to be how long will it stay off for and how long will it stay on for. So we'll do a data modify storage. I usually use ID data. And we'll call it flicker times. Flicker times. And we will set the value. Now we're going to have, we're going to have an off. We'll put some times in off. And we're going to have an on as well. And we'll put some times in on. So how long is it going to stay off for? We'll say it's going to stay off for a minimum of 1, a maximum of 5. How long is it going to stay on for? We'll say it'll stay on for a minimum of 20, so 1 second, and a max of 63 seconds. That'll do. Let's go back. We'll just do a reload, and we'll do function setup times. We could put that into the load function so it ran every time, but we've done it once, we never need to do it again. Let's do a data get on storage ID data, and there's our times. Okay, cool. Let's make something happen. So let's pop into load. We're going to need some scores. So we're going to use one score to store the state of the candle. So if it's a 0, the candle's off. If it's a 1, the candle's on. That way we can look at the candle and just say, oh, your score's 0 at the moment. That means you're on. Okay, I want to turn you off. So let's do scoreboard, objectives, add, and we'll just call it state. And it will be a dummy. And we want a timer as well. And the scores we do, or the times we just set up, these are the times we'll be plugging into the timer. So how long are you going to be off for? Generate me a random score between 1 and 5. How long are you going to be on for? Generate me a random score between 20 and 60. That's what we'll be using those for. So let's get a timer. I'm just going to call it timer. I would say it's probably not the best name, because I would imagine anyone else writing data packs is probably going to call things timer. If your data pack gets bigger, what is it the timer for? You might want to call it something like candle timer, or my data pack namespace .candle timer, just to let you know, just to help with conflicts. But I think that's all we're going to need in load, because we're running the setup manually. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. I don't think we need that anymore. We don't need that. Okay. Now let's start ticking these things. So let's process each one. So let's execute as any entity whose type equals Minecraft marker, whose tag equals marker candle. At that entity, we will run function process candle. Okay, so we are ticking that now. We're processing it. Let's go to process candle. We're going to decrement its score. So each one, because we're doing it this way, each candle can have its own score, which means they'll flicker at different times. If we were counting down the timer in here, it's like, oh, now the timer is 0, execute at all candles, they would all flicker at the same time, which I don't really like. So we'll decrement the timer in here. Each one will have its own. So we'll just say scoreboard, players, and we are running as the candle. So we'll just say at S, timer 1, we'll take 1 off it. And if its timer runs out, then we will toggle its state. So execute if score at S timer matches less than 0, then run function toggle candle. Okay, we'll save that. So we come in here, let's say its score is 10, we come in with 9, nothing, 8, nothing, all the way down till it gets to 0 or less, and then it toggles it. Cool, that's good. So in toggle candle, now there's other ways to do this. I'm trying to keep it simple. This as you saw, it works, so we're keeping it simple for now. If the candle is off, then turn it on. Well, we've got a state score, haven't we? So we can use our state score for this. So let's say, what do we want to do? Let's say execute if score at S state, and then matches, and we're saying if it's off. Okay, so if it matches 0, then run return run function turn on. Okay, so if its state is 0, we will run this function candle turn on, and we will exit this function we're in. So we won't come down and go any further. So here, if we do get to turn the candle off, let's change that to off, then it means its state was 1. So if we didn't have that run return run in there, if we just had that, it's going to turn the candle on and then straight away turn the candle off, which is going to be useless. So we need that run return run. So now it's going to turn the candle on, and it's not going to run this On the other hand, if it is already on, because state doesn't match 1, then we won't run this, and we will run this. Okay, that seems good. Let's get rid of tick. I don't think we need that. So probably best to go on to turn it on. Okay, turn it on. We need to place the candle. Okay. So the data is on the marker, and we are currently executing as that marker. So what we're going to do is we're going to function turn on macro, and we're going to pass it with entity at s, so that's the marker, because remember we're running as the marker at the moment, data. Let's save that. So in tick, you can see we're executing as the marker at the marker. We're going to process candle. We're still executing as the marker at the marker, and we go to toggle candle. Here we go to turn on. We're still executing as the marker, and in turn on, we send that marker's data. And if you remember in data, we put the color and we put the count, which we should be able to see if we do the data get again. Data get from nearest marker. So we can see the data. So we're going to pass purple candle and count 2. We're going to pass that information off to turn on macro. So turn on macro, place a lit candle. Okay, so let's do it without macro first. So we'll say, okay, I want to set block at those coordinates, because remember we're executing as the marker at the marker. A purple candle, and this is turning it on. So we want block state lit equals true, and then we're going to need, it's not called count. Oh, it is. I was closed my eyes to think. It's even just showing me candles equals, let's say 2. Okay, great, but it's not a macro yet. So we are passing the name, which we called color. So let's swap that out for color. And we are passing the count, which we are calling count. And because it's now a macro, we'll need our $sign at the beginning. Okay, so that should place the correct type of candle. That's macro done. Back to turn on. Generate a random time the candle stays on and set it to the timer score. Okay. So let's execute, store the result as a score at S into its timer. The result of what? The result of running function generate random with storage ID data flicker times dot on. So we're going to run it. We're going to come in here. We're going to go, okay, with ID data flicker times dot on. So we're going to send these two. We're going to send min 20, max 60. That's what we're going to send. Okay, and we'll change the candle's state because it's currently set to 0. So now we've just turned it on. So scoreboard players set at S state 1. Candle is on. So now you can see when it gets back to toggle candle, state doesn't match 0. We won't run turn on. We'll run turn off. Let's save that. Seems good. Okay, so we need to generate the random number. And the random number is going to be passed back because we're going to store the result from doing this. And we're going to store it into the marker's timer. So let's go to generate random. And we just want to generate a random number. We can do random value. And we need a min and a max. So let's say 1.5. Great. We want to return that value. Okay, so let's change this to return run random value 1 to, did I put a 4? 1 to 5. Still good, but we're not using the min and the max that we sent, so let's change that 1 to our min, and let's change that 5 to our max. And as usual, since we now made it into a macro line, we need to put our $sign at the beginning. Okay, so it's going to come in here. It's going to say, okay, what, min 1, max 5? Fine, you can have 3. That's going to go back to turn on. It's going to say, hey, I've returned a 3. And it's going to say, cool, I will store that result of 3 into the timer score for that marker. We've now got our random off time. As you could probably imagine, turning it, our random on time, turning it off is going to be pretty much exactly the same. What happens if we go and run this now? Let's do a reload. We might find a candle appears. But let's do scoreboard, objectives, set display, sidebar, timer. Ooh, okay, so we're very low, and apparently nothing's happening because we're at minus. So let's have a look at our tick. Our tick is definitely executing as the candle because we're making it to process candle and the score's going down. If score timer matches less than 0, run function toggle candle. Well, it's definitely doing that. If score state matches 0. Okay, so what's happening? It doesn't have a state score. We haven't given it a state score, so its state score is null. It's not. It doesn't match 0. It's null. So it's not running this, and it's running turn off, and we haven't done turn off yet. Okay, so if we do turn off now, what we'll find is when the state is null, it won't do this one. It'll default to this one, and then that will initialize it, and it will start running. Cool. Let's do turn off then. So I think turn off is going to be very similar to turn on. Let's get turn on and just copy it all. Because as we know, nothing goes wrong when you copy whole functions. And we'll put that there. Let's have a look at okay, function, candle, turn on macro. No, we want to turn off. Generate a random number with ID, data, flicker times on. No, flicker times off. Set state to 1. No, set state to 0. You are now off. Okay, that seems pretty easy. Let's go to turn on macro, copy that line. In fact, I think, we do have to make one change. We're turning it off. We don't want lit true equals now. We want lit equals false. And we'll save that. And turning off also calls generate random, but we've done that already, so we should be all right. Let's go back and do a reload. It should say, hey, your score is less than 0. Your state is null, so therefore I'll default and turn you off. So it tries to turn it off. It instantly places the candles. And now it's generating our flicker effect. We know it works, so let's turn that off. Cool. So obviously now you can play around with the times if you want to. So we could go set up times. How long do you want it off for? Maybe you want it to be off for, quite a bit longer. Turn it off for 20. I kind of like the times, the 1-5 for off. But your map, you do whatever you like, let's say, so it could be off for 1 second to 2 seconds, and it could be on for 2 seconds to 3 seconds. Well, 1 second to 3 seconds. Okay. Let's just see what it looks like. So we'll do a reload. We'll run the function setup times to change the times. So now the candle really fades out. But you can see the light comes back just a bit too much before the flames come back for me, really. So up to you what you want to do with your times. You can adjust them as much as you like. But now all we have to do is go, I've got some candles there. I'd love a nice candle up here. So let's do function, candle place. But I'd like these ones to be green candles. And we'll have a count of 4 for this. Yeah, we'll have a count of 4 for that one. There we go. So we've got some green candles pulsing our way up there, and then we can go find over here. So you've got the idea, haven't you? We can just run that command again. Let's drop the count down to 1. Let's see if we can do just the normal candle, which we should be able to do. There we go. We've got the normal candle, this little... Oh, there we are. And we can see they've all got the separate times, so they're going to... I mean, if you somehow managed to put them down exactly as all the other candles were hitting 0, they would all flicker at the same time, but then they're going to each randomize separately anyway. So each one having its own time means we get random flickers. And that's got to be better than them all going on or off at the same time, because that would just be really weird. It'd be weird enough with electric lights. With candles, it would just be, I don't know, immersion breaking. But you got a little bit of a flicker going on there. I kind of like it. As I said, I do prefer a little bit less here. I kind of like this one. These times off for not very long. And what it does is it gives the candle not really enough time for the flame to disappear. So it's just more of a flickering light. Oh, you're not updating? Hello? Did I know? Oh, I don't think I did a reload, did I? There you go. So the light flickers, but usually the flame stays like that. Just a little bit of a flicker effect as you're going around. And you don't have to have it on for so long as well. I am rambling. I just playing with the times to see what works really. What happens if we only keep it on for half a second to 4 seconds? No, 2 seconds. Half a second to 2 seconds. I promise. Last test, and then we'll just we'll say goodbye. So we're on a lot less now. Kind of looks all right with the little one. Don't mind it with the little one. With the big ones, it's a bit more, I don't know, a bit more in your face. Anyway, there we go. Flickering candles. Hope it's the sort of thing Mand was after. If not, maybe there's enough ideas there for them to change it to how they want to. Anyway, I have some work to do, so I will catch you soon. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.